Welcome back to The Short Coat, coming to you from the amazing and intense world of medical school at the University of Iowa Carver College of Medicine. I'm Dave Etler. We're here today on this very show to talk about how to take negative feedback like a big kid. To help me do that, I'm here in the studio with M2 Miller.
Hello.
M2 Srishti Mathur is here.
Hello, hello.
Zach Grissom has claimed a mic, also an M2. And M2 Sahana Sarin is back.
Hello, hello, hello. I was really hoping he would do that. I was really hoping he would do that.
I don't know what happened.
God, we set you up so well.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Sahana.
You did it.
Did you do
Whatever
3 or
it
4?
was.
3.
Okay.
So you guys, med school represents an opportunity, shall we say, to get a ton of feedback on all kinds of things. Sometimes it's written, and you're all getting more feedback shared with you verbally, right? Especially in clinics, like all the time, people are, talking to you about your performance and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's even non-verbally, I imagine. Eye rolls, impressed smiles, maybe, grades. But taking feedback is a skill, and some people haven't learned it. And so I wanted to start off by playing this that I got from Rachel Shalista in our admissions department. Here we go.
So for context, we as an admissions staff offer the option for applicants who were not offered admission to schedule an appointment, totally voluntary, to receive feedback from the admissions committee for how they can improve their application in a future cycle. And we take a lot of time to prepare for these appointments and to compile feedback and give really detailed advice to applicants. And one particular example, I had spent time preparing for the appointment. This particular individual at the end of that said to me, I simply don't agree with any of that. And it left me a little bit speechless, and I wasn't really sure how to react to that, because we try to do this as a service and to help applicants. And when feedback is not really well received, that doesn't always bode well. If applicants are combative or rude when receiving this feedback, we're not providing feedback to hurt them. Feedback is to help people, and feedback doesn't stop when they get into medical school or even beyond in this profession. If you struggle with receiving feedback appropriately now, things will continue to be hard later, and that's just the hard truth of it, because feedback is meant to help you be better. It is not to tear you down. It is to help you know what you can do to improve, to continue to build yourself to be better in the future. So it's a little disheartening when it's not received well or it's met with some hostility.
So yeah, feedback is a skill. I think it's it's learned. I know that sometimes you guys haven't progressed to the clinical years yet, but you've had some feedback opportunities from standardized patients, your course, your grades that you get. I'm sure there. What other sort of feedback do you get in this sort of didactic phase?
Yeah, like our CBO facilitators are supposed to provide like verbal feedback and then also written comments. And there's, individual variety in the value or how they present those, or like what they're looking for, some too.
Yeah,
So.
we also have like those, like not only the SPs, but we had at least like the past 2 semesters, like PCS, what does that stand for?
Professional communication skills.
Sure. And those facilitators.
Why learn? You don't need to learn what the evaluation, what the acronym means.
The acronyms take on their own meaning.
Yeah.
Professional communication skills does not have a meaning. PCS triggers my fight or flight.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But yeah, they would also like give us feedback on like our clinical skills and how we would interview and stuff like that.
And don't forget anatomy. We evaluated peers
Oh,
Sure.
for our teaching style.
I forgot to pull those back up and look at them again for this.
That's probably the most negative feedback I've received.
Oh.
But it's just a chance to like critique not really critique, but just say like what helps other students with their learning since you're teaching each other. So that one was a good one. Definitely have to take feedback from your own peers.
Yeah, and this, all of what you're saying, it just continues throughout your, not just medical school, not just residency, but really your whole. I mean, think about things like, you guys know what a tumor board is?
I've heard of this before.
I should have looked. This just occurred to me, so I probably should have looked it up in advance. But there are occasions when a group of people get together to discuss what went wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, like
They do
an
that with
M&M
M&Ms.
or whatever. Yeah. Mortality and morbidity.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't know if it maybe tumor board is probably a less
I don't
maybe
love,
an informal thing.
I mean, M&M fully struck a lot of the candy right off the bat.
That's
Not the rapper.
fair.
No.
I will say, I think tumor boards is like when they have a patient case that's difficult, and then they all come together to figure out how to.
Okay.
Which some of that is
Yeah.
probably going to be like, what has gone wrong and why has
Yeah.
this not, what did you not figure out earlier? What you could have done better.
Right. And as the physician of record, who's participating in this, you're going to get some feedback that might be uncomfortable at times. I'm not going to name names, but here's an interesting bit of feedback that I've heard of. There is a cancer doc here who offers his patients one free punch.
Did they get good feedback or bad feedback for that?
I think
that is the feedback.
I think that's the feedback.
Oh,
I think the
understood.
idea is like, as a cancer patient, there are going to be times when you are super frustrated. So I think people have taken
Oh. But what if they punch really hard?
I mean,
That's
the risk.
Why not? Why not like a punching bag or something?
That's the risk of feedback. Of
sometimes
allowing-
feedback
being
hurts.
hurt.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should hurt physically.
Well,
Hey.
that is a form of feedback.
Okay.
that's up to this guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, is the feedback that you've gotten in medical school so far different from what you experienced before you got here?
I'm going to be honest. I think it's been better. I feel like a lot of times in undergrad, and that's just the nature of medicine, is that it's so hyper competitive, but it felt like a lot of times the feedback I received in undergrad and leading up to med school, maybe it was my own ego, but it felt like it was like pushing me down.
Oh,
Whereas coming to med school, all the feedback I've gotten has been, again, and maybe I've just grown more, but it's been with the intention of building me up.
So
At
can you
least
give me
that's what
an
I think.
can you give me an example that you recall? It's okay if you can't recall. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if I can think of any specifics, but I would in undergrad, I would go and see like a pre-med advisor, and they'd basically give me the feedback that like I'm never gonna go into medicine or get
yeah,
into
I've
medicine.
heard that a lot before.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know why.
and-
I don't know why any advisor would
Yeah.
give that feedback.
Yeah. And like I understand
And I guess they're trying to like
Right.
soft,
Realistic.
like be realistic. but
expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of like if you don't get in, don't be hurt by it.
but the
Yeah.
number of times I've heard that that somebody got that feedback from a pre-med advisor and yet they're sitting in front of me here on this show is like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's like just not phrased right to be trying to be like an honest assessment of your chances or your competitiveness for different programs or something, or they're maybe just mad that they never did it themselves and
Right.
that's what they're working in as
Yeah.
a pre-med advisor.
Hard to
like,
say,
I'm
right?
not saying that that's something that many or most even, but that's possibility for people.
Yeah. But I always felt like ever since I've come to med school, again, maybe I'm just happier. But I feel like the feedback I get in med school has a clear intention of making me a better person.
That's good. You guys agree?
Yeah, I think the feedback in medicine has definitely been more productive. It's nicer, it's more positive, and even if it's something negative, it has like a positive tone to it because it makes you not so scared of receiving feedback. I'm assuming they put a lot of work into teaching the individuals how to give us feedback because they also teach us how to give feedback to like professors and stuff. So like they teach us they teach them how to give us feedback, and so it's not in a mean way, so we're not scared
Yeah.
of receiving it. So even if it's something that we need to work on, it's not like kind of hurt my feelings.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. You guys give feedback to your
Mhm.
professors,
Mhm.
which I don't know how usual that is. I mean, I've only ever worked here, but I don't know if that's an uncommon thing. But it also, it also takes skill to deliver feedback. And so I know that there has been a push in the last few years to improve upon both the skills that you guys have in giving feedback and the skills that everybody else has in giving you feedback, which I think is paying off. Not that it was terrible before, but yeah, there were occasions where students would, go to those, we used to have physical comment books, right? So students would write, pretty harsh things in there. And, somebody had to spend a certain amount of time, like turning that around into something that can be used.
Yeah. Who else done a liaison committee here?
I have.
Yeah. And then I have. So like we go through not the individual like lecture feedback, but the overall course feedback. They have us go through and kind of compile a report out of that. And there was just so many free text ones that we got in the spreadsheet for the course that I did, and then kind of going through and trying to decide what's the topic, how can I distill this and group it with other ones. And some of them are just like, I preferred ones that were just like it good and be done, and then I can just be like, okay, it's positive. then instead of ones that
I don't know
were
how
like
helpful that is.
right, it's not. But compared to ones that were like long and rambling and not specific, and then you're trying to find what was the thing that they had
what's
issue
the
with.
kernel here? What's the message
Yeah.
that they're really trying to get across?
Yeah.
So that also speaks to the sort of power dynamics of well, I don't know if that speaks to it, but I wanted to bring. Okay, let me try that again. There's a power dynamic issue with feedback too, right? Like, sometimes it's hard to give feedback to people that you know well. Sometimes it's hard to give feedback in person to somebody that is higher than you on some sort of level. It's hard. It must be hard to give feedback to peers, as you mentioned for anatomy. Does that ring a bell for you?
Yeah.
Or do you just like, fuck it, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I mean it is anonymous.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
You don't really know exactly who says what. You just get like a pool of comments, and like you take those comments with your own grain of salt, and then you adjust yourself based on those comments, I guess.
Yeah.
In my anatomy group, we all pretty much ended up figuring out who said what. And like I had given real feedback. Like I was like, we need to participate more, like the teaching, like we need to focus more, et cetera, et cetera. And it actually brought me closer to some of the people.
Oh,
Because like I give constructive criticism. Like if you ask me something, I'll tell you. Like I'm not going to hold back, because I think we're at a stage in our lives where we should be mature enough to be able to like take that criticism and be like, this person is trying to help me.
Yeah.
And so I straight up told them, I was like, this is like what we need to do better. And like, it wasn't like this is directed at you, but it was like, this is also my time, and I wish we were spending it focusing on the thing we're doing instead of like thinking about another class.
Yeah.
And like, I told them I said that, and I was like, I said it to whichever ones. And after that, they were like, no, honestly, like that's
I
fine.
was like, yeah, I said it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I said it. And like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you guys told me what I should improve on, I would take it too. I'd be like, absolutely. Like, I'm not perfect. That's what we're here for.
And I think that makes sense, because think about the stakes here.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're not just doing this for a grade anymore. I mean, sometimes it may feel that way, but underneath it all, you're trying to get to be good doctors.
Yeah. I think at least, again,
For your patients.
we're only thinking in like didactic right now, but like there is definitely that sense of purpose, I feel, that I didn't feel before, of like, okay, yeah, I am getting criticism or constructive criticism, but like I know what my end goal is, and I know that I'm actively working towards that end goal, and so it's a lot easier for me to understand that the criticism is like given with that in mind, and incorporate that.
something that I've experienced within, so we do case-based learning in the first semester and then the second semester. And in
Case-based learning is when you look at a particular patient's case, or maybe even a fictional patient's case, I guess.
Over like a few weeks.
Right.
And
sort of in a longitudinal way, and
Yeah.
you learn continuously through exposure to that case and the details of that case.
And as part of that, we go and we kind of provide these little like chalk talks or brief 5-minute sort of summaries about something that we researched in the last week. And then in the end, we're getting feedback from the facilitators for it. So in my first semester, the like written feedback was kind of in line of that stereotypical clinical feedback, like 3 out of 5 meets expectations, continue to read more, like not useful, but the verbal feedback was, because they pointed out a couple of things that were like specifically I had shown like more engagement on a certain like style of presentation. So like that was valuable. Flip that with the second semester, where the verbal feedback was just kind of positive, no concerns, whatever. And then the written feedback, which was like momentarily annoyed by to see like these specifics if you weren't going to talk to me. But then at the same time, I had those for going forward, with the second half of the semester.
You had something written down. That
they were written down for me to refer back to. And it wasn't like I had to jot notes during a brief like 5-minute feedback conversation. I had it there of the specifics of what that facilitator was looking for differently in the way that I wrote or put together these short little reports that we have to do. And I was like, good. Something that I can like actually look back at and see, like, did I meet these things? Did I improve on those?
I will say one thing else like that I think they do really well is that before they give you at least like the verbal feedback, and they do this in everything, like they do it in CBL, they do it in PCS, which is like the standardized patients and clinical skills, and they'll say like, you think about what you think you need to improve on. You come back and tell us that first, and then we'll give you feedback on those things, and then we'll point out what we think you should improve on. So it's like you've already had to take the time to self-reflect and think about like, where are the places that I could improve? Like, what has been the feedback that I've been getting for the last 3 weeks that like now I think we can have a comprehensive conversation about? And I've never had that before. I've never had somebody say like, you sit down and think about yourself.
Interesting.
Those definitely tend to guide a lot of those conversations, because we, like, on a certain level, we know where we need feedback. Like, we can sort of pick out where our weaknesses lie, and I think it also sort of softens the blow, because like I come to that conclusion myself first, and then someone else is like, yes, this
You're
is,
like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, yeah, I know I need to do that.
During clinicals, I've heard people say, I don't look at my evals. And that's where a lot of the written feedback exists. I don't think that's super common, but I think it just indicates a level of fear associated with getting feedback that might disrupt your sense of self. Or
I mean, even in like pre-clinicals, there have been times where like, or I've gotten like peer feedback where I've kind of put off opening the thing because I just don't want to, like, I know what's waiting for me there. There is also like a certain amount of self-awareness I have where I do know where my flaws are, and I just don't really want to see it like proven in front of me. So I get that. Like, I understand not wanting to open it.
I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah,
You're
like
I
down
want
with it.
everybody to tell me where I can improve, what I can do better, and like even.
Shall we start a list?
Yes, please, right now. But even like as far as like friendships, like if there are things that I'm not putting forth as a friend, like I want to know. Like tell me all the things, and like because I want to work on that. Like as a person, I want to keep growing. So if it's like clinicals, pre-clinicals, I'm like, tell me to my face. We don't need to write it down. Like verbally, just let me know, and that's fine. Like, I can't promise that I will fix it all immediately or, like, change or, like, be, like, you know, like 100% perfect from then on. But at least, like, I will have some awareness of it myself.
Well, and not all feedback is I mean, you know, Rachel's example, Maybe she was. Maybe they were. Maybe the admissions committee was wrong. I mean, I don't think it's her feedback that she's giving. I think it's the
Like
overall
everyone.
admissions
She's
committee
just,
feedback. She's just the conduit.
Mhm.
And maybe they were wrong.
I don't know what you're thinking
But-
is going to happen. Like they're not going to be like, "Oh, you're right."
Yeah.
You know what?
you're-
Let's
you
get you in
You're
class right now, buddy.
now.
Yeah.
Head over. We'll get you a
Immediately.
spot in Newton.
This was a test, and you passed the test. You're.
I think
You're now admitted.
especially
Confidence.
in the case with admissions, like all of the feedback that's given is compiled
Mhm.
and it's coming from multiple sources, and all of the sources have like the same goal in mind. So to then turn around and say, I don't agree with that, like that might protect you, but that's not helping you grow or change as a person. Whereas sometimes like there are situations, like you said, where there is a power dynamic, and sometimes feedback can be given sort of just because it can be given without any thought of further growth.
I guess there's an alternate viewpoint of the admissions feedback, which is this isn't the school for you, bud.
Yeah.
You know, the feedback that we're giving, if you don't think it's helpful, then maybe some other school will be like, yeah, we want that guy.
Yeah.
Or
I
girl-
mean,
or girl, I
I
don't
will
know.
say that in a situation like that, she's probably giving them feedback because they didn't get into any other school. Otherwise,
Well, that's why they give this thing
Yeah.
is to
so then other
increase your
schools
chances.
must also not agree. You know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
then something needs to be changed, and I think that's where it's like you take in the context of where is this coming from? Like, is this coming from a good place where they're like, I want to see you improve, or is this coming from a place where they're like, I just want to put you down?
yeah.
Yeah. And the other, I'm just gonna go quick.
Go
Then
ahead.
you can
Yeah.
the other like viewpoint of this is like they may have disagreed with what Rachel was saying, but that's how it came across, and so it's just that can kind of be applied to us too. Like if you're doing something and it comes across not in the way you're expecting it, that is feedback you take, so you
Yeah.
can like make sure it comes across in the way that you want it.
Again, what is the kernel of truth in that feedback that you can take away? If it's not, if your immediate thought is to try to be like, well, that's not what I meant. Well, it's the
You
message
need to
you gave.
change how
You
you
need to
do it.
change how you
Intention versus action, right?
Yeah, here's a phrase that I absolutely hate. I have a lot of, not really trauma, but just longstanding frustration in past employment with this phrase, but that perception is reality. And that's bullshit. Perception is not reality, but how other people perceive things affect how they are going to act, which is reality. So the way that you are perceived does matter. And if you're getting perceived incorrectly from what you intended, like that, maybe that's not all on you.
But you can't fix the other people.
You can't. And what you can do is see if there is something to what their perception is.
Yeah.
If there is something that is like coming across wrong. Yeah.
I am so confused. You said you said I hate the phrase perception is reality, and then you went on to explain exactly how perception is reality.
Because the way that it's used when it's just given as that first sentence is that it's all on you to fix it, and not that there's an allowance for other people having perceived things legitimately wrong.
But you can only control yourself. You know, like I can't control how Shrishti's perceiving me, but I can control what I do to make her perception of me a thing. Okay. I was like, I don't know if that made
Well
sense.
said.
Yeah.
Point made. You guys. Yeah.
Say it with your chest.
I've lost track of.
I was like, we went down something.
Yeah, we went down some.
Well,
It was a good thing. I mean, it wasn't a bad thing.
Well, one thing, like, how many of you guys have had like employment-based feedback in the past too? Because like academic feedback's different, and then when we get to clinical feedback, that's going to be a lot more
Similar to
similar to employment stuff. So like, what has that been like for you all in the past?
I did have like sit down feedback for one of my clinical positions I had in undergrad, like at the end. So I think that was really helpful because that was also something they made it sound like they thought I was like uninterested because I'm not super energetic like on the job. And that's how I was coming across. And that's honestly really applicable to what I was just saying. Like, I had to like kind of change my attitude because, you know, like I don't like being super outgoing and like jumpy and peppy, but that's what they wanted. And that's what like they wanted for the patients I was working with, just so I like seemed more interested and just so I brought more of a different vibe. So
They wanted more customer service voice out of you.
yeah, they really did. They wanted me to like jump and cheer when a patient walked in the room because that was kind of an accomplishment itself, getting someone to show up.
Oh, but that's what medicine is a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is.
Like it was cardiac rehab and they were coming to exercise. So
Yeah.
like if they arrived, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Sit
One
down.
thing,
I'm gonna get your blood pressure.
one thing that I have experienced is evaluators kind of protecting an institutional average on their numerical ratings, as silly as that sounds. So an attending is not going to give everyone a 5 out of 5 or whatever in a clinical space, because someone's going to come and talk to them about like, are you actually like looking at them? And that should be fine, except we're all in a rat race that requires high evaluations and things like that and stuff. So like meeting expectations shouldn't be a negative thing. But it's a tough pill to swallow when you get the offline comment of, well, I couldn't rank you higher for this reason because of my like numerical average is creeping up too much.
I think that's always a point of contention with any form of feedback, especially in like our current academic system with grades. And when you grade someone, you know, like you put a numerical value on it, it doesn't take into account everything. And I know like in medicine, we talk about that all the time, like pre-med onwards, we are always worried about grades. But that is definitely something like I've had to get more comfortable in medicine is like, because like Sahana said, we would have to evaluate ourselves. And like on that evaluation sheet, I would put like meets expectations. I had a facilitator who said you can only give 2 exceeds expectations. Everything else had to be below that. Like he would not allow us to give ourselves the full score.
You can't be better than
No, yeah.
expectation.
But and like that forced me also to like read the rubric properly and realize like, yeah, I was meeting expectations. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And that is normal. And that is a good thing. I'm not a bad student for doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, let's look
For
at
other reasons instead.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at, you know, like any sufficiently large population evaluated will generate a bell curve. Right?
Yeah.
And most people are going to be in the middle of
Yeah.
that.
Not bad.
Of
I
that
simply
bell
don't
curve, which
agree.
is- no.
Yeah,
Who's the
Zach, always
contrarian?
the top.
Who's the contrarian now?
You know, so it's not really realistic to think that many people will be outside of that middle third or whatever.
But like as pre-med students, you're taught that
You have
to be beyond that.
Yeah,
middle
but
ground.
now you're in a whole new situation where everybody was a successful pre-med
Right.
student.
right.
But then you're still getting like grades or like in your honor. Like I know one school where they, instead of giving you a grade, they'll have a written exam. And it doesn't matter how anybody else does, because on your written exam, they'll, instead of giving you like this was a 10 out of 10 or whatever, they'll just do like 3 tiers. Like didn't meet expectations, or like you understand everything.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, in that case, I'm going to be going into that and being like, oh, I just want to make sure I understand it for understanding it. Like, I don't care. There's no grade attached.
Right.
So like, that's a different type of feedback than giving somebody like, oh, you got an A+ versus this person got like a C.
But the issue is like our entire system is built on those grades.
Yeah.
So like everywhere down the line, those grades matter.
Step 2, baby.
Pass fail, baby.
Except for
When I think about feedback, I'm thinking of things intentionally said or written that's intended to change behavior. But a lot of times feedback comes from a look, a side remark, a feeling you get from an interaction. Is that valid? I mean, do you guys get that? Should I not have brought it up?
No, so
We're
so
all silently giving
Yeah,
you
yeah,
You're
feedback.
all, yeah. The feedback I'm getting is that was a dumb thing to say, Dave.
No.
so there's definitely what are you pulling the asshole
Anyone
cards
who
out
gives
for?
any feedback.
Like when talking with someone, I think something that at least is in the zeitgeist for students going into
Of all the words.
You got
for students going into like the clinical space is that you just need to read the room.
Sure.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
so being able
actually.
to pick up on nonverbal feedback about when is an appropriate time to discuss something. And that's not even like obviously not talking about like the super negative aspects of a prognosis that we're not having that current discussion with the patient.
Yeah, like,
with or
hey, now that you
something.
told the patient that, let's really talk about the terrible things that
yeah,
they can expect.
but
maybe not the
instead, like even in the charting room or something, if you are not getting those nonverbal feedbacks of like engagement with that conversation that you're trying to have with the resident or the attending or something, that doesn't mean like it's time to go like disappear, but it also means maybe you need to like cut back on what you're doing and see what other people are like working on, and if you're like disrupting that aspect.
Yeah. I imagine that's a particular place where people are just trying to work. You know, maybe
Yeah,
they've
they don't
got
want
some
this
things that are.
silly little med student
Well,
yapping away.
I mean, they probably wouldn't mind it if they had finished the thing that they were starting
True.
until you walked in and wanted to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
Like I was shadowing an ER doc, and he was talking about like picking this versus that on an antibiotic, and I just like asked, I was like, I couldn't remember from my micro class. I was like, what's kind of the mechanism there? And he was just like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, so that's not the kind of like question to engage him with, because he did not care. He just knew,
Yeah.
if I think this thing, we're going to give it this one. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's fine for his like style of practice and his patient population and everything.
That would be like a secret clue to be like, okay, now I'm going to go to research that mechanism, and I'm going to come back and do like a presentation at rounds about this question that I have. I don't know if that's a. I think that's a thing that
Ask
people.
us in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
You'll
no
find out. I feel like at times they're like, I don't know. Why don't you go look it up and
Yeah.
teach us
And other
about
times
it?
they're like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
he didn't say go
I don't
look
know,
it
I
up. He
don't
was
know.
just like,
I
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't care.
I don't know. I'm gonna continue fighting with Cerner. Was his opinion?
Yeah. I will say, kind of combining what we were talking about earlier too, is I had an SP last semester, I think. And they were like in pain. This is a standardized patient who like you do
Yeah.
fake clinical scenarios with.
Yeah.
And they were in pain, and I came in, and like we're graded and taught that you have to like go in, build rapport, set an agenda, then ask the certain questions that you ask, like see if there's anything else, et cetera, et cetera. And so I went in and like I followed the rubric to the T. I was like, okay, like what brings you, like how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of it, she was so mad at me. And I was like, oh my God. And the reason was she was like, I was in physical pain and distress, and you came in and you started asking me about my puppy. And I was like, yes.
Good point.
But at that point, like, I was like, you know, but like at that point, I was like, I was just doing what they told us to. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm just listening to like our rubric and like our grading system, blah, blah, blah. And then this time, like we had the same.
Did you
now
say
it's
that?
called- no.
Okay.
It was in my head. And then I was very sad afterwards, though. I was like, oh my God, I did such
You
a
were.
terrible job. et
You
cetera.
were.
Yeah, like they've all heard this story.
Yeah.
And then this time around, I went in and like we are doing, it's called PBCR now, which is like patient-based clinical reasoning.
Sure.
And so you go in and like my, now you know. And like my patient was like sitting like holding his head, like it like looking like he was in pain and distress. And I just went in and I was like, what brings you in today? What's going on? Like I was like, we're not building rapport, whatever, it's fine. And I brought it up afterwards and I was like, hey, like, did you prefer that? Because I've gotten feedback in the past that like I shouldn't build rapport. And so I know this time I wasn't following the rubric. Like I was going on my own. And he was like, honestly, I thought that was so much better.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that feedback that I was so upset about a year ago helped me so much in this instance.
Yeah.
Where like I had to read the room and
You
figure it out.
had to learn that not every situation needs to follow the rubric.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially in
because that's
medicine.
life.
And like, so I did Miko over the summer. I don't know what
Another
it stands for.
medical education.
I don't know what it's
medical
called.
education and community orientation.
Orientation.
I've heard people who
It's not
actually have done
orientation?
I've heard people who have actually done Miko say that wrong. Like they just don't
Bro,
know the
I was
acronym.
about to say outreach. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I thought it was outreach too.
That,
Maybe
I've
it is
heard
outreach.
outreach.
Yeah.
It's orientation.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay,
It's
cool.
orientation.
I don't know
Yeah.
that. But
Anyway, it's a rural health rotation
Yeah.
basically for preclinical students.
Yes.
Yeah.
and like I have an interest in family med, so like that's why I did it, because they like, at least in my case, they like set me up with a family med doc, and then I could see other fields, but my home base was family med. And I got, honestly, it was like a trial run of preclinic. It was a trial run of clinicals, because he would be like, "Here's my patient list. Go figure it out."
What do they have?
Yeah, but like there's no grade attached, it was really nice, and I feel like significantly more prepared for clinicals. But like it was, I'd walk into the room and you have to like very quickly read the room and figure out how they're feeling, because I would have patients who wanted to throw water bottles at me, and then I had patients who wanted to sit there and talk for 30 minutes about their hurting knee, and like you have to figure that out.
This strikes me as a really difficult thing to do at first. Like
It was.
I mean, you would think like, oh, I can walk into a room and read the room,
I
but
don't know. I've worked in family med before, so I had a little bit
So
of
you had some
practice. Yeah. But yeah, it was very much like I had to figure it out in the moment, and like I can't sit there and build rapport
Yeah.
if like they don't want to, and like you have to figure that out.
as a patient, I give you 2 minutes to discuss things that I'm not there for.
I would 2
And then
minutes
I'm
is a
like-
lot.
Sometimes
Yeah.
2 minutes is too long.
Yeah.
My
way too long.
patient had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, okay? He was not going to sit there for 2 minutes and let me talk to him about board games.
Yeah.
Like, he had other things
he had
going on
things
in
to
his
do, yeah.
life.
With me at this moment, you probably get about 15 to 30 seconds.
Awesome. Awesome. That might actually be better. I don't.
I think I usually go, "How's your day? How's it been going so far?" And then I jump in.
Yeah.
But sometimes patients want more. Like
Well, if you continue
Yeah.
the conversation and you find opportunities to
Yeah.
and like you have to
Yeah.
like
build
let the
rapport,
patient
like, that's
lead.
more interactive
Yeah.
than
Absolutely.
hey, how did you find your parking
I
space?
hate
Like,
that question. How did you get in today? No one
Nobody
cares.
cares. I've also been told not to ask patients, like, how are you doing today? Or, like, how was your day? Because it's like, what if it was terrible?
Yeah.
I also
Why
got
would you, like, start? And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I've
have-
also
you
gotten
have-
the answer like, "Oh well, I'm here, so obviously
Yeah,
it's
not
bad." I'm
great.
like, you know what? That's
That's
fair.
valid.
That's fair.
I want to hear. So Sahana, you shared what I think might be great feedback that you got.
Not at the moment.
Feedback that changed, but it changed
Absolutely.
how you did things.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a bit of feedback that they want to share that they got that was like, oh, this changed everything?
I got the exact same feedback, and it made me better at reading patients.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
because I didn't have a patient who was in pain, but she was like visibly it was a fake patient. Visibly.
We call them standardized patients or simulated patients. Jay.
God, Jay.
There's some more feedback for you.
Jesus.
fake patient.
I literally don't care.
And that's an example of blatantly ignoring feedback.
That's how you don't take feedback. Was just visibly anxious, and so I tried. I gave like an attempt with the rapport building, but she wasn't having any of it. So I read that, moved into her chief complaint, and also complimented me on it. Was like, good. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Get
on
going.
it.
I want to get things going. Yeah.
Like, I'm here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I had one that I don't know that I would change based off of this one. So in one kind of practice run that we had with an SP, we had one person kind of begin the interview and everyone else is outside of the room watching it by video, and then the next person that's going to go in is going to do the physical exam. So
This
I'm
sounds
not
a lot
the
worse
one.
than it is, I promise.
No,
So-
I
Whoever's
hated mine.
listening.
So
I hated doing this.
I'm not the one asking the questions or guiding the discussion, but I'm going to be the one that goes in and needs to have selected like my physical exam options and follow-up questions that I might have in there
Based on what you saw.
based on what I saw. So I'm trying to take
On a tiny
notes
little
on
monitor.
yeah. So I'm trying to take some notes with that in mind, and then come in. And the feedback that I got was that I was choosing to reference or beginning to speak while I was looking, and then looking back up to them and looking at what I had done. And I felt like that was unnecessarily pointed on like an artifact of the
situation.
like of the situation that I hadn't begun that interview to do it. And so that was like the entirety of that SP's kind of feedback for me was based around me referencing what I had written down so that I didn't forget things while still going and making eye contact.
So you're
That was
doing
like-
your best in that situation to do what they might want you to do. which is
Yeah,
sort of
and it wasn't
engage with
and,
them.
and it was
visually.
sort of the lack of value was because it became the only thing that got provided as
Yeah.
feedback to me. I'm fine getting negative feedback, but there were other things that I'm sure I could have could have
No, you
gotten
were just
negative or
perfect.
no negative or constructive feedback about. But if that's the only thing that gets talked about for like 3 minutes straight,
And it was based on a unique situation that
On a
you would
unique-
never find.
Yeah.
Well, likely never find.
yeah, because we were supposed to kind of pick it up as if you were the same person the whole
Doing it.
time versus getting a verbal presentation from, say, an M2 when you're an M3, and then going in and you doing the physical exam while also asking and like re-asking questions and things like that. Like that's different than what the scenario I was supposed to kind of play.
Maybe I'm too lenient, but I don't feel like that's great feedback. I feel like
Yeah,
I feel like I would rather have my clinician like say things back to me that were accurate rather than rely upon them. I mean, if they were good at
Yeah.
that, then I wouldn't notice it.
hmm
But I don't know. Okay.
I thought that one was particularly unfair because we were in the same group when we got that feedback, and it's not like he underprepared or anything. It's just he had to pick up a patient in the middle of the encounter and go in and do, I think it was like physical exam
Yeah.
and figure
Yeah.
out what to do. And also sometimes physicians need to look at their notes. It may not be the
Yeah,
best
that's what
for patients.
that's what I'm arguing. Like,
Yeah.
like
I know there is there is a line, I see a lot of TikTok skits of the person like clacking away at their keyboard, not looking at the patient at all. And that sucks. Like as a patient, you don't want that.
I
But
don't
I
mind.
also like, so
I don't mind. Future reference if you ever become my doctor, which you won't, because I won't allow it. But
that's fair.
Wow.
not that you're not great doctors,
Wouldn't
but
trust us?
great future doctors. But
No, that's fair.
He's heard how we take feedback and he's
He's like, I don't want this.
Anyway.
It's like I watch these guys cry over an M1 exam. I don't want this.
Yeah. So okay, what do you take away from that though? I mean,
So-
you got to take. Where you?
Yeah. So what
Lost
I
track of
started
where we were.
doing, yeah. God, Dave, Jesus.
Sorry.
Well, I started doing at the beginning of each encounter because I need to write stuff down. I can't remember anything. I have the memory of a goldfish.
Right.
Um,
I know that. It's true.
Memento.
sorry, what? Sorry,
what does PCS stand for?
What? No. What? But I start each encounter with saying hey, just so you know, I am taking notes just so I can keep track of what we're talking about, but I am listening to you, and I don't want you to think that I'm just ignoring you when I'm writing stuff down. And I got feedback once that was a really good thing to say because it added transparency to what I was doing. And the SP was I wish if I went to the doctor and they're clicking away at their computer, if they told me something like that hey, I'm actively engaged in this conversation, I'm looking through your past medical records or looking through those things, I would feel better as a patient. Because otherwise if you're just clacking away at a keyboard, it feels like you're disengaged.
Is that what they call signposting?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, I wouldn't remember.
Maybe I should ask someone else.
Let's go signposting.
So let's establish. Got more to talk about. Let's establish sort of how to take feedback,
Mhm.
especially when it's negative. Just to give listeners who, haven't been subjected to this environment, something to hang their hats on when it's their turn. From my research, when you get negative feedback, pause first. So don't react defensively. And that includes, I think, explaining why you did what you did or the way you did it.
Biggest pet peeve.
You don't need to do that. It's super tempting because you want them to understand why, but it just comes off as defensive and not especially useful.
I remember the place where I practiced that skill the most. I took a creative writing workshop in undergrad, and we would submit a piece.
Yeah.
And then they would go around the room and give us our comments, and the one rule was I had to shut up.
Yeah.
I was not allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
And it's so hard.
Yeah.
Especially with creative writing, that's a piece of me that's out there, and they're ripping into shreds, and your first instinct is no, that's not what I meant, or no, that's not what was in the, but that was a really good way to practice that skill.
If you're reacting in the moment, you're not listening to the feedback.
Exactly, because I had to sit and listen to all 20 of my peers talk, and then I could respond. And by the time it came back around, I was able to synthesize what they were saying.
Yeah. So next would be mine for value. So vague comments, even vague comments can contain some kernel of truth. So if somebody says you need to be more confident, I don't know, what does confident look like? So to spend some time.
God, I get that all the time.
So
I find that hard to believe.
I would
Sahana.
say
I feel like you're super confident.
Oh my God, you have no idea.
I would say the way to take that feedback is
Be more confident.
if
Yeah,
you
of
can,
course.
you got to be confident enough to do this then. But if you can, calmly ask them for a specific example, because that's going to mean something different to different people for what that confidence is. Are they talking about in the room when they see you with a patient, or are they talking about when you have seen a patient by yourself and come out and presented what is the thing that they think that you need to be more confident at?
Yeah. Yes, in fact, that was my next thing is clarify.
Wow.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Maybe be more patient.
Yeah, maybe let him
be more
finish.
curious.
No, I actually was in the moment thinking, should I say that was what I meant? Does that I'm getting a little paranoid about this
Be more
conversation now.
confident.
I'm going to be more confident. That's what I was going to say. Separate style from substance. So sometimes delivery is not the greatest, but the core point is still there if you can figure out what it is. Disregard respectfully. Not all feedback is valid. So, you got to weigh the source and the context. I don't think you need to say, I don't agree with any of that shit that you told me. That's garbage. But you can certainly say thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
And then just remember that this is growth mindset framing that you need to be using. This is data. It's not judgment.
Yeah.
And if you can lock that idea in, then anytime somebody says, hey, you need to fix this, is gold.
Yeah.
So
I like that data. It's just a data point.
Yeah. For everyone listening and everyone here, you're going to have so many informal and formal mentors in some way. Some of them, they're, you're going to be unwillingly their mentee. And when you get all of that data from them, the good and the bad advice, that's positive or negative feedback, you can kind of figure out what to take out of that.
So, a few episodes back, we spoke about using artificial intelligence in med school. And full disclosure, I use it all the time. So do a whole bunch of other people.
That's actually what we're doing here. We're not here.
Yeah, this is all.
This is all AI.
Do you know about Notebook LM?
No.
It's a Google property where you throw it some sources and then you can use it to make an audio podcast.
Yes.
I
had thoughts about their dynamic. It's a very, very interesting one.
It's very NPR, I feel like.
I'm more thinking that they're not publicly separated, but they're a married couple that is privately going through a kind of divorce, and they
He's coming up with his own story.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. They remind me of this couple that were on an HGTV flippers thing or whatever.
Chip and Joanna Gaines?
And yeah, it was like that they continued to work together professionally, but like were getting
that was
divorced.
Flip or Flop.
Yeah, I think so.
The really annoying couple.
Yeah.
You know who?
Yeah.
They got divorced.
Yeah.
They're really insufferable.
It kind of teeters off as they
There's a lot.
Yeah, if you're two people doing a show together and you get divorced, maybe stop doing the show.
I would also argue, I feel like
John.
building a house together or building a house in general is just such a high stress situation. So to be a married couple who professionally does that all the time, like that's a recipe.
Ain't no way I would.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, have you been to IKEA? That's horrible.
Have you built IKEA furniture?
Have you built IKEA furniture?
Wait,
like
IKEA
therapy to
furniture
me.
is easier to build than most other furniture.
That's like
True.
therapy.
True.
I don't know why IKEA furniture gets such a bad rap. You
no,
just-
it's
No.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And
And it
I'm
has
sorry, but you're wrong.
pictures.
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways.
Anyway, I use artificial intelligence all the time. I've said that I'm not all that fussed about it. I think some people are like, freaked out about AI. Some people are like, I don't like it when other people use AI. Whatever. I just, like I get the ethical implications of, the training stuff and all that kind of stuff. That's not what we're talking about.
Dang it.
Not
It's so
today.
much on that topic.
Not today.
That's a different one. Sign up for a different one.
I just think humans have freaked out and then accommodated themselves to new technology before, and we will do it again. We'll do it. Many times we've done it. But I read this concerning study from the Lancet Gastroenterology and Hepatology that suggests that use of AI can lead to a phenomenon that the authors called de-skilling.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a retrospective observational study on colonoscopies, the quality of colonoscopies during a 3-month period before the implementation of AI, polyp detection tool, and a 3-month period after the tool's discontinuation. So the question they wanted to know was, would the use of AI change the rate that adenomas were detected, the adenoma detection rate, or ADR, once AI was not used anymore? And the study found that the detection rate declined from 28.4% before AI use to 22.4% after it was discontinued. So doctors did, in fact, become less skilled in detecting adenomas after using AI. Reactions?
Was there a percentage before the AI was used? 'Cause
I did
would
not
be
see
interested.
that. Well, I mean, the
to
percentage
know-
before AI was 28, that found that the detection rate declined from 28.4%, which I assume means of the scans that we looked at, 28% were positive for adenomas.
Was that with AI?
Yeah, without.
With-
and then
So I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm curious,
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
did it go down because physician lost the skill, or did it go down because AI increased it and then you took away the AI and we went back to baseline?
Because you have to know the baseline of like the starting point before, because now you've implemented
Poorly
something
constructed
new.
study,
It
0 out of
seems
10.
to sound like it was the before AI percentage,
But it
and
only
then they
gives
introduced
2%.
AI, and then they didn't include that percentage, and then after they took away the AI, that is the percentage.
Really?
Oh, like it used to be.
So I don't
I
think
didn't
I think
the
that's what in my reading of it, I think that's what I was.
Okay.
I only read
Seeing,
the
yeah.
conclusion and abstract, which is what I do with
Dave, I
most
forgot
studies.
we were doing this. I didn't.
I
read
didn't.
shit.
I didn't read it at all either. I didn't even see this.
Feedback.
I'm your new favorite.
Jay wins.
Wait, 1 second. Where was this?
In the group meet.
Oh, absolutely did not see that. I'm so sorry.
God damn it. I try
Thing
so
doesn't
hard.
Group me.
I read the whole message, and I fear I never saw this part.
He
Apparently,
even gave us a workaround the paywall.
Yeah, because the original article that I posted was a New York Times article, and yeah.
whoopsie.
It's all right. I read your messages.
Thank you, Jay.
I read it. I just
Didn't-
ignored it.
Okay.
I didn't even read it, so I'm like the worst of them.
I wasn't able to click on the links, and so I tried to like retype them in, but then also GroupMe was just freaking out. So then I just deleted my comments to try and make it easier for y'all to read it. So
Maybe that's why I didn't. See
yeah,
it.
it was all my fault.
So you had a bunch of like deleted comments. that
So
were-
what I'm hearing
and
is
I
it's
don't-
Zach's fault.
I don't think they ever went through either, because like I was walking from Fieldhouse back over here, and so then like I disconnected from the Wi-Fi, and then it wouldn't let me like your comment for a while. I don't know.
Oh. I saw
Okay.
you
But-
tagged us in one thing that was a really long paragraph,
Yeah.
and I read that paragraph, but I never
And there
saw
were URLs under it.
Never saw that.
Oh, anyway.
Anyway.
all that will be cut out probably.
Oops.
Yeah.
I think
do you guys-
it can be a crutch, if it's not like accompanied with something else. Like I know that there's a lot of talk about us with, what is it called, like Nabla or whatever, that'll listen in on your interview with a patient and then be able to spit out a formatted like note. And that's, obviously not something that we're allowed to use within our SP interviews.
Yeah, because there's something to taking notes.
Mhm.
The physical process of writing down something.
And then to be able to synthesize and put it together. So even if you did take notes, but then something else wrote it all up for you, you're not actually learning how to construct or communicate that to yourself, let alone to other people. So,
yeah.
I think a lot of this is in the way that the tools are used.
Mhm.
Like, I used to be very against AI, and my friend would be like, no, use it. Like, it's fantastic for like studying. And then we started using it to like construct quiz questions or, like explain things out more if I couldn't understand it, etc. And I feel like in that it was very helpful. But then the question is like, if I came up with those quiz questions myself, it would probably be more helpful. But like, am I going to do that? Probably not. Right? Like, that's going to take me more time.
This is the thing I struggle with too. Is like, the things that I use it for are things that I couldn't, because of time constraints or whatever,
Right.
I couldn't do it before.
Exactly.
And so I just wasn't doing it.
mm-hmm.
And like, even like the notes thing, it's like one thing if it's just doing all of the notes, and that's fine. You're removing a lot of administrative burden. But then as a physician, because I'm taking care of this patient and those notes matter to me, I'm still going to go in and take notes, whether or not they're documented into the system.
Mhm.
Right. I feel like that's like, you're using it to help you with this one thing. That's just like time consuming, but I'm still trying to maintain the skills that I have otherwise.
I would be curious to see what happens when someday your panel of patients is, 1,500,
Mm-hmm.
2,000
That's fair.
patients,
Yeah.
because, it is tempting to just be like, I don't have time to look at everything, so I'm going to let the robot do it.
Sometimes I worry that I am not a huge AI lover. I don't love it.
Valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that concerns me because sometimes I feel like AI is used as a band-aid. Like the overall problem is we have a physician shortage. We have administration shortage. We have a very broken healthcare system. And that leads to physicians having such huge patient panels.
Yeah.
And instead of fixing that core,
Mhm.
we say, use AI to write your notes.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
And like for me, I do worry that like that would reduce the quality of my care that I'm able to give my patients because I'm not engaging with them, with their illness, with them as a person the same way if I'm using AI to write those notes. But I also like, you know what I mean? Like
It's complicated.
I see
Yeah.
the value of it. I do, but I don't love AI. I do use it every now and
Yeah.
then.
Well, I hope that just by being uncomfortable with
and like
how it's often used, that you'll be able to compensate for.
And I will say, like, in terms of the skill loss, like I very much saw that happen with me. So like I said, I do love to write. And one of the first things I used AI for, I was like, I'm gonna have them write my emails because emails stress me out.
I love these ads that I see on
Yeah.
Instagram or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It's like, I've never written an email. I'm like, well, what?
Yeah. So writing emails always stressed me out. So I would have AI do it. And then like it got to a point where like I would be like writing something up and I'm like, oh, like I'll just put it into AI. And then I was like, I had like a crisis because I was like, oh my God, my entire life I've considered myself a writer. I've considered this to be my one skill. And now I have to go to Chat GPT. That. I'm so mad about that. So like I did feel like this skill loss. And that scared me.
Yeah.
That freaked me out.
But I will say, I use it for my recipes, my meal prep, my Trader Joe's grocery shopping list, and it's very helpful for that. Like,
I feel like in those situations, it's like, am I really worried about de-skilling? Like,
Yeah,
no, I have to get some food on the table.
well, also,
So, like-
I went from zero, I never cook, to now at least I cook,
Love that.
right? And it's like,
That's
if I
what I'm
didn't
saying.
have-
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you use it to do things that you couldn't do before, maybe that's better than using them to do things that you could do before
And make them easier.
that you just didn't like do. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
But then I worry about the ethical issues, and, like the
Yeah,
environmental
yeah.
impact of ChatGPT. That's
Yeah.
the one that always gets me. Yeah.
So I shadowed in OB-GYN this summer one day, and the physician, like we saw kind of the whole breadth from younger patients to older patients for a variety of concerns, and he only used that tool one time for one like long established patient that was going to have like a longer discussion about symptoms and things like that, like a patient that the physician knew well, and was a way to be able to kind of spend more time in the room talking about more things, and then go out and not have to get behind to get those things written down before going and doing like a more procedural or more like exam heavy like second appointment with another patient. So like he only used it once out of the 4 or 5 hours that I was there for like 20 something or more patients.
So the message there being, you have to be you should be intentional about what you're using it for. You can't
Absolutely.
just using it for everything is like
Using it
Not
for like
great.
a little bit of scut work is different than everything in your life.
Okay. Here's another story. As a med student who desperately wants to get into a residency position, should I do more research or should I do other extracurriculars like volunteering and podcasting? The AMA the AMA recently noted that after step 1 went pass fail a few years back, the number of research deliverables claimed by students like abstracts, presentations, and posters significantly increased across almost all specialties. And a notable decrease in work and volunteer experiences was also observed. This is true for nearly all 24 specialties, but especially for the highly competitive ones, and the highest was for procedural specialties. The weird thing that they noted was that research isn't a universal requirement, and most of the residency programs in the U.S. aren't academic research programs. They are maybe community-based. So I guess what that's telling me is that people wanted to, in the absence of a step 1 score that made them look a certain way, they wanted to use research as a differentiator. But really, it's not a good differentiator. It's becoming less useful as a differentiator because everybody is doing it.
Like supply and demand.
Yeah.
So I want to make the point that I think is very funny that article you sent was a med student doing research on the fact that med students do research more now, and literally had a poster presentation. It was interviewed for the article.
I did not think about that.
Yeah. So their research project that they did this poster on was evaluating the AAMC's data about medical students doing more research. So now they have another, that person has another research
good
thing
for them.
for their ERAS.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is the most pro research group in general.
No, it is. Sahana's. I know.
She makes up for it. She makes up for it.
I have been notoriously not anti-research, anti-me doing research. Like I have said that on the
you
show.
have. Yeah.
It's like,
So I think of in a lot of ways kind of my future role if I pass all my classes and get into a residency,
which you will.
I have
Maybe.
faith. As distilling that research, right? Engineers rely on physicists, rely on mathematicians to describe the things that they actually apply. So for people to abandon the humanities aspect of being a physician to be more of a physician scientist. Now, if you are in a physician scientist training program, like, well, yeah, you gotta put in work to earn your tuition and everything. But to just do that otherwise, like what are you missing out on otherwise?
I'm going to give a hot take. And
Is it actually a hot take?
Well, I don't know.
Is it gonna be like white people
It's
spicy?
gonna be like, you're gonna be like, this is a hot take when it starts, and then like I'll explain it. You might be like, okay. I think everyone who's in med school has to be curious. I think if you're curious, you are doing research whether or not you know it.
I mean,
So I think
okay.
by virtue, everybody here, even if you're not doing research in the way of like writing an abstract, presenting at a presentation or whatever, you have all been doing research.
Lukewarm, but okay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like I will take you as an example. But like even as far as like Zach's part of iSnap, and even as far as like looking up bills that are being passed or how the government is running, any of that, like that is considered research. If you wanted to, for like whatever reason, put that into an abstract, you could. If you have a patient who comes in and has something that nobody's ever seen before and it's just really interesting, you can put that into a paper. That's research. You're researching the disease that they came in with, what the patient presented with. That in itself is research.
Sure, but it is doing it to the exclusion of other things, whether it's volunteering or writing or.
I think so. I'm in the service distinction track, and I think like I don't know who said this when I was like rising as a pre-med, but it just really stuck with me. Of like, at its core, medicine is a service field, and I feel like if you are negating acknowledging that it is a service field for the sake of research, that could be a problem. But also, like, with that said, if you are approaching research with the thing of, I want to better the basic science so that I can help people, that is still a form of service. So I think it is very much how you approach it. And again, I'm saying this as someone who does not love doing research myself, but I see the value of it.
I prefer to be the research subject.
But I think that's what makes it so
Fair.
I got a $50 Amazon gift card.
I had in undergrad, I had the Department of Emergency Medicine do like a tourniquet testing, like an inguinal tourniquet on me, and they put me on like a shake table and everything.
Would you just walk in and be like, "Hey,
and
you
I got
guys
paid like
put a tourniquet on me"?
Yeah, I got paid like $50 for it. It was cool. I've done like multiple other ones for like flu vaccine efficacy and stuff. I was gonna get the flu vaccine either way. I'll get paid to report that I'm sick. Sure, I'll do a nasal swab on myself. Whatever.
I keep getting.
Good.
I remember in undergrad, I tried to do a couple of like psych ones, and I kept getting rejected from all of them because I'm left-handed, and most of those studies want right-handed people so that they can standardize. And devastating,
Ridiculous,
devastating.
Will the hate never stop for us?
I know. God,
No, that's
Just learn to do stuff right-handed.
Yeah, become ambidextrous.
Yeah.
Are you my dad? I'm just kidding.
This is feedback.
The largest spikes in research were for vascular and thoracic surgery. The largest declines in work and volunteer experiences were in prelim, gen surge, and transition year residency programs, which the study noted were generally a path to some of the more competitive specialties. I think the message is do research if that's your passion.
right. I think it always boils down to if you can talk about it and be passionate about it, do it.
that.
Yeah.
But if I don't know, just don't do research just to do research.
Yeah, don't do it for the hell of it.
Yeah. It's or just to like make yourself look better.
Yeah.
Come and
I also
podcast.
feel like don't do it in a
Exactly.
I mean,
bubble.
do something else.
Yeah, like don't do it in a bubble. Like you have time to do other things and still do research.
Yeah. I feel like, I know might be a hot take, but I think as far as research goes, checkbox mentality would work for me because I think research, the important thing about it, for me at least, I'm not going to go for like 64 publications and abstracts and presentations. I want to like pick a topic. I want to research that topic. I don't want to do like a case report. I want to like learn a lot about that topic. I want to be able to talk about that topic. And like also like Sahana said, like being curious about something, just like exploring something more deeply than like the surface level we go into in medicine, like being able to like dive into something and have questions about it and research that, but not necessarily spend your entire 4 years on it and get as many publications like racking up.
Well, and I think there's value to understanding how research,
works.
how knowledge is accumulated, you know,
And
how research works.
It goes back to like your point of the stuff that we do out of curiosity because we be more curious.
Be more curious.
is researching, even if it's not turning into publishing. It is deeper than like just a simple Google search. Like for anyone that like didn't take many micro classes in undergrad, like I took a semester long course that we covered all the same viruses in a week now here in med school. And it was a semester long where we got like an hour or more per virus to talk about the life cycle and things like that. And there's more that they had distilled it down to that we could have talked about all of those. So finding those other answers for yourself is important.
Dave, I hate to pause this, but what time is it?
It's 1:23, and I
Okay,
was about
really
to
have
point
to
that out.
go.
Shortcuts, if you have something you want to say, maybe you got a news article that you found that you want us to talk about, visit theshortcode.com/tell us and send it to us as a message. Otherwise, that's our show. Until next time, I'm Dave Eller, saying don't let there's Jesus Christ. Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.